This edition of the Focus Cup is brought to you in association with Mintex, breaking with tradition. The Focus Cup Championship programme today comes from Brands Hatch, the penultimate day's racing of the 2022 season. Last time at Croft we saw championship wrapped up by Liam McGill. The second position still up for grabs between Simon Rudd and Richard Avis. Down with Simon in the pit lane is Barry Welch.
Simon, been a little while since we caught up with each other. Now, been a busy year for you. You haven't been able to be at every round, but you're still second in the championship with Richard sniffing at the heels there. So, how's the season been?
Yeah, it's been a good season. We didn't go to Croft, so we missed out on 2 rounds there, so a bunch of points, but still second in the championship. So that's the aim this weekend, is try and wrap that up.
Obviously, Liam's been sort of walking away with things. It helps him. Obviously, you haven't been at each round. We've still got the number one on the beautiful machine there now. Richard's become quite a bit of a challenge, hasn't he? Really. So, is he your main one? You're going to keep the eye on the mirrors on?
I'm here to win. I just want to win this weekend. It's my home track. Got lots of support here. Got my sponsors coming down. So I really want to enjoy it. Try and get some silverware for them. Richard's like super consistent. He's always been super consistent. So he's always going to be there. But we've also got people like John Baker who's here, Rob as well. So yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting race.
I always think when people say home track and sponsors, if I was driving, that would put pressure on me. But does that actually help?
I love it because the way I look at it is that, you know, you've got all your friends, your family, people that have been supporting me throughout the year, all together to enjoy a weekend. And you know, it's such a big weekend for Brands with the Ford Power Live event. You know, we've got the hospitality suite as well this weekend for those guys. So I'm sure by the end of the weekend we'll be able to have a beer up there.
So Stephen, first time we've met. Now, great to see you on the grid. Now, first of all, for our viewers, you are one of the, you're the instructor that sort of mentors all new drivers and so forth about how to handle these wonderful machines.
Yeah. So I've been working since about mid-season with some of the drivers, just helping them get a bit more comfortable with the cars and a bit more of understanding of how to drive on the track, how to get a little bit more out themselves as well.
So, you know textbook-wise how to do all these things, but it is different when you've got a pretty full grid.
Yeah, it is. Yesterday I was in car, but I was coaching, so I've not had a chance to actually drive the car till this morning. So it's kind of just figuring out as we go along. But like you said, with being on the Ford Live, you can already see the crowd starting to pick up, so it should be a good weekend.
And I know you're competitive by nature. You'd love to obviously get the front spot, but you've also you set sensible head on because most of these guys are going for the championship, aren't they?
Yes, yeah. So I will have as much fun with them as possible, but at the end I will step back and let them do what they need to do to get their points.
Richard, penultimate round of the season. I remember being here this time last year and it was an exciting event, but this year, third in the championship as we come into it.
Yeah, third. Quite a bit of a gap before fourth, so we should hopefully keep third. There is a chance to get second because there's not a lot of points in it, but Simon Rudd's a quick driver, so we have to see what happens.
Yeah, when you say few points, there's only 6. So, I mean, that could go either way. I was talking to Simon earlier on, who runs the championship. He said yourself would probably be happy just to achieve third, but I mean, you've also got that extra little impetus.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to just sort of lay back and take third. I'm going to push to see what I can get, and I mean, it's all very close. I mean, there's like 10 of us within under a second, so it's close, and anything can happen in racing, can't it? So.
Right, now we've not seen you on the grid, a new face, familiar surname with your brother winning the championship effectively at Croft there. Now I believe you just got your ARDS licence and this is a bit of a baptism of fire for you.
Yeah, just out for a bit of fun, like you say, don't have much experience in circuit racing, so just thought I'd give it a go. I'm fed up sitting on the sidelines watching everyone else have all the fun, so yeah, I thought I'd get involved.
Possible test in the water for next year?
Potentially, yeah, I guess see how things go, you know. So, yeah, if things go well today, then I might be interested in racing next season, yeah.
Very competitive grid. I mean, how did you do in qualifying?
Qualified 4th in the end, but it's all very close. So from 3rd down to about 10th, I think everybody's very close, within a couple of tenths here and there. So it should be a pretty close race. I imagine it's going to be quite a lot of chaos on the first lap.
Welcome to the grid to Ryan McGill. Great to see Stephen Wells back on track as well. I remember watching him in Ginetta Challenge several seasons ago. Pole position though going to Liam McGill from Simon Rudd, John Baker and Ryan McGill on row 2. Steve Wells on row 3 with Sean Reynolds, then Ian Mitchell and Greg Saunders, Richard Avis 9th, Simon Watts 10th, grid completed by Spencer Fortag, Claire Avis, Simon Waugh, Simon Walton, Abby Walton and Rob Gaffney back with us as well. Good to see Simon Rudd back with us after his break for the 4 races at Croft. 1 meeting lost for him, but quite a few points over the 2 races. Here we are in car with Rob Gaffney. This is Rob's home circuit as well. Great to see him guesting in the championship as well. And away we go. It looks like a good start by Simon Rudd, who tries to make up ground on Liam McGill as they head up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Rudd looks for the inside. McGill, the champion, has got it covered. So champion versus outgoing champion here at Brands Hatch to kick things off. On board with Ryan McGill. Good start by Steve Wells in the Mintex 44. Ryan's going to have a look on the outside. This is good stuff for a rookie. He's obviously been listening as Sean Reynolds goes around in the 777 car. Sean Reynolds, one of 3 drivers fighting it out for effectively 6 in the championship. Simon Watts, Claire Avis and Sean after qualifying all within around about 6 points of each other with 30 points available for a win. 6th place is probably going to go to race 4, which will be in our next programme. So position's very tight indeed. It doesn't look particularly easy out there. That was Ryan McGill getting it sideways. Maybe a little bit of inexperience, completely different getting into the racing environment, of course, from qualifying or testing. Greg Saunders running well there. Nice to see Greg. Greg's only missed 1 meeting this year, which was Snetterton. Rounds 8, 9 and 10 of the championship, but things settling down nicely on the first lap here at Brands Hatch as Rob Gaffney putting his experience to use, popping up the inside. Spencer Fortag, the man that Rob passed there going into Paddock Hill Bend. Rob, of course, a noted team runner these days, team owner and team runner. And good to have someone like Rob running your team because he has that experience and racecraft as McGill passes Wells. That was a very good move. Steve Wells, he's got a problem, Stephen Wells, running wide. So Stephen Wells clearly got a problem with the Mintex car. That's a shame. Hopefully he'll be able to regroup, maybe get some positions back. Through goes Richard Avis in the 77, up ahead of Greg Saunders. In car with Rob Gaffney again. And Rob looking on the inside as they go through Clark Curve. Onto the Brabham straight, across the grid lines they go. Gaffney in black on the left of shot. These very evenly matched cars side by side. Gaffney will use his experience to nip through. Here's the view from Spencer Fortag in the number 4 car. Nice to see Spencer back with us as well. I haven't seen Spencer Fortag since the Silverstone event 2 of the championship. That's the great thing about this championship. You can basically go for the whole campaign or select your rounds and come and enjoy the racing in the locality, make it fit in with your work and family schedule. Of course, the drivers that have had a full run at the championship have enjoyed it as well, as we watch Fortag now still chasing Greg Saunders. So coming up into clearways for the 3rd time of asking, there in 71 is Claire Avis in the swanflight.com liveried car. Simon Watts, who is racing with Claire for 6th in the championship. Watts 6th at the moment in the championship. Full points, as always we mention in the qualifying session, you get the same amount of points as you do in a race. 30 points for pole, 26 for second. So Simon Rudd, as a result of having 2nd position qualifying, outscored Richard Avis by 10 points. That's making that 2nd place in the championship a little bit safer for Richard Avis after qualifying. But as I say, we've got 4 races from Brands Hatch to go, and that 3rd position at DNF could make things very different indeed. Richard Avis coming under pressure from Rob Gaffney along Cooper Straight. Rob, not close enough, I don't think, to have a look as they go into Surtees. Surtees the left-hander, McLaren the first part of the long right-hander, second part of which is Clearways. You can see where the Grand Prix circuit joins there. Past the MSVR office buildings on Clark Curve onto the main straight. Rob Gaffney, as he climbs further up the grid, obviously things get a little bit more difficult. You find the faster drivers and passes tend to be a little bit more of a premium as the race enters the mid-section. Through Paddock Hill Bends, this is Simon Watts. Simon down behind Spencer Fortag. Simon out-qualifying Claire Avis, but not out-qualifying Sean Reynolds, but he is outscoring Sean Reynolds potentially at the moment for that 6th place in the championship. Jonathan Baker looking to try and close in on Callum Eason. He is now, I think, within 6 points of Callum Eason, who had that nasty incident at Croft. We're happy to report that Callum is safe and well, as you saw in the interviews at the end of that programme. Richard Davis rather there. Having a look here at Ian Mitchell in the 81. Ian's got a good run here, up ahead of Richard Davis, so Richard third in the championship, would like to get every point possible. Steve Wells recovering now, so this is good to see. Steve, a recognised and respected ARDS coach. If you want your licence done, particularly in the south of England, he's your man. Simon Waugh was passed there in the 22. Nice to see Simon back as well. We missed Simon at Croft. Last time we saw Simon was Alton Park. It seems like a long time ago, but it was only one event. Just that we had 4 races at Croft, so good to see Simon back out with us. Rob Gaffney a little bit closer this time. So along Cooper Straight, there's not going to be a gap going into Surtees, now through into McLaren again. The 77 car getting a bit defensive. Gaffney finds the gap, uses a bit of grass to do so, and space was given there by Richard Avis, but Rob Gaffney makes the position. Avis though, as ever the way here at Brands Hatch, the wide sweep out of Clearways affords him a bit more momentum, and he's putting away from Rob Gaffney here. So Rob Gaffney can't quite do it at the moment. Welcome back to Brands Hatch, and some terrific racing going on here right towards the sharp end. We're in the sort of middle of the top 10, and this gaggle of 5 cars. Rob Gaffney actually is at the head of the group, and on the previous lap was challenging the car ahead. So Rob's lost a little bit of ground here. He had track position, but just didn't seem to have the momentum to complete the move. We're looking at Spencer Fortag in the number 4. That's the yellow, white and black car up ahead of Greg Saunders in 34. At the back of the group, Claire Avis. Quick look ahead, and we've got Richard Avis trying to close down on Spencer Fortag in the white with red and blue stripe cars, as Greg Saunders tries to close in on Rob Gaffney. He's getting a little bit closer. So this is coming up into Druids, and he's going to have a look. He's got wheels on the grass. This could end in contact. It does. Rob Gaffney goes into a little bit of a drift. I won't say a spin, it was a drift. Managed to recover. Sean Reynolds gets involved as well, has his own moment, spins around. I think Rob Gaffney has recovered from that, but here's Claire Avis, picks her moment very well indeed. Very well read from Claire Avis to just thread the car through. Greg Saunders, after the contact, might have unsettled the car, because 2 corners later at Surtees he's off and on the grass in the Rob Sims car. So Spencer Fortag, we mentioned this battle which is sort of broken clear now, and Richard Avis, who doesn't have the attentions of Rob Gaffney now, could get stuck in. And have a look at Spencer Fortag. This is, as we mentioned, Spencer's 3rd meeting of the year. Okay, Greg Saunders rejoins a little bit further back down the order, but a safe rejoin nonetheless. He's going to be involved in his own race really there, on his own bit of track, as Richard Avis closes in on Ian Mitchell. Mitchell in the 81 car, 3rd meeting of the season. Had a good meeting at Snetterton when he rejoined us for rounds 8, 9 and 10, had a podium in race 1. And race 1 podium obviously is the fastest off the front race now as Richard Avis spies a gap on the inside and Avis goes through. Look at the gap between the two cars. This is terrific, respectful racing. Smashing move there by Richard Avis, goes through. Now the question is, will the 81 car be able to close back in and challenge or re-challenge for the place? Can immediately go on the offensive, taking a nice wide line into paddock, maybe get the sweep down Halewoods Hill and possibly have a look into Druids. Richard Avis has got that covered off, so goes across, not overly defensive, so that he doesn't compromise his line into the corner and exit speed, but he's mindful of the fact the 81 car is there. So really good little battle between these two drivers going on, and Richard Avis, those points might come in handy for him. Avis moving up into 5th position, Ian Mitchell in 6th. So it's only a point gained, potentially, as Rob Gaffney retires. So Rob Gaffney, now is that due to the damage, I was going to say inflicted by Greg Saunders, but it was a coming together really, more than anything. And it might have knocked the car out. Rob, the experienced driver, putting the car into a safe position. So well done, Rob. Saves the Marshall some extra work. Unfortunately, the Focus Cup team have got work to get that car race ready for our second event of the day, which will be in just a few hours' time. Meanwhile, things relatively settled now down the order. Claire Avis chasing Simon Watts in the 23 car, and that is a chase for 6th position in the championship. Remember, coming into the round, McGill and Rudd 1 and 2. McGill champion, Rudd last year's champion. Richard Avis 3rd from Callum Eason, not with us this weekend. Then Jonathan Baker 5th. Around about 40 points clear of Simon Watts, Claire Avis and Sean Reynolds. Reynolds was sort of blown the chance as far as this race is concerned, and perhaps as far as today is concerned, to get on terms with Claire Avis and Simon Watts in the points. He did out-qualify both of those, so closed in. Ian Mitchell closing in as well here in the 81, so Mitchell closes in again on Richard Avis. It's only one championship point to be gained where they are in the race. The main difference on points is the win. 30 points for the win, 26 for second, 5 points for the fastest lap of the race as well. So you can get second position of fastest lap and outscore the race winner in this championship. Mitchell having a look, going down through Graham Hill Bend. This is where the curbs that you're seeing there on the right, the main area here at Brands Hatch where track limits tends to apply, and at the moment track limits warning to Liam McGill. There he is in the Amazon.com liveried car. Got to say, this is a very good debut from Ryan McGill, I should say, not Liam McGill, Liam the race leader. Sean Reynolds looking to improve his position, which he does, makes a pass. So Sean Reynolds past Simon Walton. Remember, we've got Abby Walton in the race as well. And Sean doing all that he can to keep that battle for 6th and 7th position alive. Ian Mitchell still enjoying his race, and Richard Avis under a fair amount of pressure here. Again, not overly defensive going into Graham Hill Bend, so you get the feeling that the 77 car, Richard Avis, has just got enough in hand. Richard, an ever-present for this year, and say it very quietly, Richard Avis has not had a non-finish so far this year. Very consistent driver. That's not to say the drivers have had DNFs are errant or anything like that. You have to have the rub of the green and a little bit of luck to get through the season, but Richard Avis has driven superbly, and every single finish not only has been in the top 10 but has been in the top 9 of every race. So Richard Avis has worked hard, and well, Simon Rudd said in the interview at the start of the show, didn't he, how consistent Richard Avis is as a driver now, but Ian Mitchell putting him under a little bit of pressure. So the ABS car getting stuck in once again as they go through Druids, out of Druids, down Graham Hill, in towards Graham Hill Bend, a little bit further back. Claire Avis watching that battle unfold. Spencer Fortag up ahead of Stephen Wells. Forgot about Stephen, but still very much in the mix. Lost some places earlier on. I think looked like some sort of mechanical issue. And Stephen there, as I say, an ARDS instructor, if there's someone you want to watch the onboards of for the lines, then he's very much the guy to watch. And at the moment, trying to hunt down blue flags being waved for Liam McGill. So McGill, the race leader, passes Abby Walton there. Now McGill on his way to fastest lap and another win. And this will put his wins incidentally into double figures for those of you interested in the stats. Could be double figures, 10th win on the cards for Liam McGill here. It's a good margin clear of Simon Rudd, and McGill shows no signs of letting up as he goes past Simon Walton in the REIS car. Richard Egger Insurance Services, Liam McGill through on the inside. Very neatly, and if you look back, a blue and white car is Simon Rudd, who I think has settled for second position here. Little else he could do, but great to see Rudd back in the championship, and will sign off as champion with these 2 race days. But McGill out front. Wonder whether Simon's going to get past the Waltons as well. Blue flags being shown to those drivers, so Simon Rudd again closing in. I'll tell you what, he's not hanging about. Manages to pass Simon Walton first very quickly indeed. Abby Walton immediately ahead as Liam McGill pedals his way around the circuit for the last time in race 1 here at Brands Hatch. And we watch Simon Rudd closing in the GRD Lifts and Engineering car. Great to hear that he's got all of his sponsors and guests here today. Enjoying watching him take a podium as the race win goes to Liam McGill. McGill wins around about 6 seconds clear of Simon Rudd, who will take second position. Abby Walton fends him off. Abby's running in 14th place. Jonathan Baker will complete the podium in car number 10. And John Baker 5th in the championship. I think that may well put him up into 4th now, ahead of the absent Callum Eason in the points standings. But also coming through now is Spencer Fortag under pressure from Stephen Wells. Claire Avis ahead of them, Claire finishing in 8th, Spencer Fortag 9th from Stephen Wells. But another win for Liam McGill from pole position. Simon Rudd 2nd, Jonathan Baker 3rd, Ryan McGill 4th, excellent debut for him from Richard Avis, Ian Mitchell, Simon Watts, Claire Avis, Spencer Fortag and Stephen Wells. Simon Moore in 11th from Sean Reynolds, Greg Saunders, Abby Walton and Simon Walton.
Liam, another fine finish there. 2022 champion, and congratulations from me. I know we've done that previously, but good plain sailing there and a hell of a lead.
Yeah, I think this qualifying was one of the closest it's been this year actually. I think there was less than 2 attempts between me and Simon, so I knew it was going to be pretty difficult out there, but it's always a bit closer I think on the shorter tracks, because there's less time to make up. I think there's only 7 corners here, but I think Simon had a go at the second corner, and luckily we both managed round okay, and then it's just a case of trying to get the head down and just get as good laps in as you can and don't make any mistakes. So yeah, it was a good race out there, and eventually we caught the back markers, but we managed, they moved out the way, which was good, so the pressure was kind of off at that point.
Simon, always great to see you back on the grid, and a great way to start the weekend.
Yeah, relatively happy with that. Started second, finished second. I got a good launch off the line and tried to make a move on Liam in the first couple of corners, but it didn't quite come off. So then it was a case of just trying to keep up and put a little bit of pressure on. But yeah, overall, relatively straightforward race.
Penultimate event of the season, race 1 done and dusted. That looked pretty plain sailing for you.
It was, you know what, it was easier than what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be under a bit more pressure. I knew that I was going to be a little bit behind Simon and Liam, but I just managed it. I'm running different pressures this weekend, so which is a bit new for me to get used to. And at the end, those last 3 or 4 laps, it was a little bit sketchy. So I just kept it under wraps. I could see him closing in, but it wasn't enough. So yeah, quite a nice, easy race, really.
Congratulations to our drivers on the podium here at Brands Hatch. We look forward to race 2. This programme was recorded on the 18th and 19th of September, just before the funeral of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Like other sporting events around the country, Brands Hatch fell silent to pay its respects. Welcome back to Brands Hatch, the penultimate day's racing of the 2022 Focus Cup Championship. And what a huge event is going on this weekend. We're part of the MSVR Ford Power Live celebrations here at Brands Hatch. Plenty for crowds to see, including the work going on in the paddock on the cars to get them ready for race 2. Here's Barry with Rob Gaffney.
Rob, race 1 done and dusted out of the way. Now, not the best one for you and your car's up on blocks. What's the story?
Unfortunately, the radiator pipe's got a small hole in it, so we had to retire from that one. Made a good start. Obviously, we started at the back after a problem in qualifying. Unfortunately, the car's a new build, so it's kind of just going through the couple of teething problems, but when she's going around, she's quick.
Been a little while since we've seen you in a vehicle, so how are you feeling?
Yeah, it's funny. Pretty much my last race was the Focus Cup last year, so yeah, just go out there and see what we can do.
Have a nice little dabble and a good weekend to do it as well, because we've got a big crowd coming.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's a great series, so it's a perfect opportunity to come and have a play and see what we can do.
Busy year for you on the spanners as well.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, we've got lots of other things we're looking after. Obviously, we are helping Rob look after these as well. So yeah, we know the cars, we know how to fix them, and this is just a bit of a play day for me.
So, a little bit of time before race 2. Obviously, we'll get it fixed, but where do you start? Do you start at the back again, or are you moving forward?
Unfortunately, because obviously we retired, we do start stone last again, but we'll try and make a good start through like we did in race 1 and see where we go.
Spencer, been a little bit of time since I've seen your good self. You were with us at the start of the season, and you've decided to come back and have a go at the final round. So how do you feel?
Yeah, really happy to be here. You know, Brands is my local circuit. It's a 35-minute journey for me. The sun is like blazing down. It's a glorious day. Who'd have thought that mid-September? But yeah, really happy.
Now, I say we saw it at the start of the season, and it was great to see you on track then. During the end one, where have you been since?
I've been doing some other saloon racing in a Honda and in a Toyota as well. But you know, like the attraction with the Focus Cup is that all the cars are the same. You know, run by one team, so there's no element of anybody spending any more money or any cheating going on, and that's always like a big attraction. And when you look at even the qualifying times and our race times, you know, 2 or 3 tenths separate like the top 10. So it's nice to be part of a series where it's about driver talent rather than how much money you got.
And even though you haven't done sort of every round, so you're not as fluent as some of these drivers, you're still there in the top 10 in the first race, so that was good, and you're still, you know, a decent place in the championship points.
Yeah, I'd like to think that I've got, you know, like a decent level of ability. So hopefully we've got one more race to go today, a couple of races to go tomorrow, so lots to play for.
And is it just Brands Hatch you're really going to sort of keep with?
Like anything southeast is good. So obviously we've got Snare, Silverstone, Donny here, but yeah, it's such a bind having to do like a 3 or 4 hour journey to get to a circuit. It makes it a bit of a ball ache.
Actually, those circuits you mentioned, they're great circuits, but they are quite different. I mean, Snet's a sort of power circuit, isn't it? It's the best part of 3 miles, isn't it, by the time you go around there? And then you get this, which is a very quick lap, really.
Yeah, and that's what's nice, to be challenged to have a go at different circuits. You know, like Brands is like super tight and twisty and much shorter. But I've always done well at Donny. You know, I've won my race there with the Focus guys, and I've always set quick laps there. So maybe that lap type suits me more. But yeah, it's all good.
So, like you said, with this championship, and the beauty of this is the sort of arrive and drive scenario. Does that sort of take any pressure off? You're not having to get on the spanners yourself. You know it's ready to go.
Yeah, immensely so. Anybody that is, you know, poor on time or mechanical ability, this is perfect for, because you pitch up, your car's ready to rock and roll. You don't have to worry about transporting it there. You don't have to worry about spanning it on the day. You've got good support from the team. So yeah, I'd recommend it.
It's a great championship for drivers to come in. It's a great championship to watch as well. And one of the added bonuses for me as a journalist is the fact that we've got these reverse groups. Here's the grid for race 2, a partial reverse. So the groups of 6 from where they finish reverse. So 6th position, Ian Mitchell is on pole, with 5th position driver from race 1, Richard Davis, alongside. Second group of 6, the man who finished 12th, Sean Reynolds, starts 7th. The 11th place driver, Simon Wall, will start 8th. And then the remaining drivers that finished the race, Greg Saunders, Abby Walton and Simon Walton, are reversed as well. Rob Gaffney off the back, as we heard. Here is the view from Ian Mitchell, who starts on pole position. The white car with the red and blue stripes, evocative of the Hesketh Formula 1 racing team, if nothing else. He's in the ABS car. Rob Gaffney forms up at the back with Greg Saunders, who he got a little bit physical with in race number 1. A little bit of a racing incident just between the two as Simon Rudd looks at the back of Ryan McGill. A little bit of a tap on the back of the Amazon car, and there's a little bit of contact as they go into Paddock Hill Bend. The McGill brothers side by side, and it's Liam McGill, the champion, who gets the better of the two starts, so he's trying to pull away from Simon Rudd. Simon would love to sign off in the GRD Lifton Engineering car with a win, as indeed all the drivers would, of course. But it's Richard Avis that leads at the moment from Ian Mitchell, and super progress by Liam McGill from 6th position on the grid into 3rd, about to try and challenge for 2nd place. Has a look as they go into Surtees. Super field of cars once again, and great that we saw Rob Gaffney's car. I heard that Rob Gaffney's car is a new build, hence the lack of livery on the car at the moment. But if you want to come in and join us for next year, as Simon Watts gets a little bit sideways at Clearways, that was Claire Avis's view, as McGill goes up into 2nd position, just on the inside of Ian Mitchell. So Mitchell relegated to 3rd. Simon Rudd trying to close in on the lead group as well. Jonathan Baker, his next target. He'll pop the GRD car down the inside of the liquid moly machine. So, and now Ian Mitchell coming under pressure from the other McGill. Ryan McGill goes through, and Ian Mitchell having to go very wide indeed. Baker goes through. Simon Rudd can't quite capitalise on that. Sean Reynolds in behind in the treble 7, and I'll come to championship points actually at some juncture, because although the outright championship is done, we still do have the issue with some pretty major places as McGill looks on the inside to grab the lead. Liam McGill, it's only taken him a couple of laps to come through from 6 on the grid. The champion goes through. What will Liam do next year? That's the question, isn't it? Will he come back and defend the championship as Simon Rudd did, and maybe find things a little bit tougher as Ryan McGill looks for 2nd position down on the inside of Richard Avis, who remains so. The McGill brothers 1 and 2. You saw Ryan McGill just getting a little bit crossed up there, but he's in P2. Family honour at stake now. Jonathan Baker still under pressure from Simon Rudd in the number 1 car out of Druids. A little bit of dust down on the corner to soak up some fluids from a previous race. Now into late in the afternoon here at Brands Hatch. Simon Rudd looking to try and make a clean pass if he can. I think Jonathan Baker has seen him. Indeed he has. Look at that. That's clean racing between the pair of them. Baker doesn't want to give up without a fight. Gave Rudd room. Rudd giving him room as well, and now has to work his way around the outside in the number 1 car, not being forced off onto the track as we saw in that earlier incident on the exit of Druids. This is great racing from these two. Baker side by side with Rudd, who tries to get a little bit of momentum working for him along the Bradham Straight down towards Paddock Hill Bend. It's going to be about the turn-in. Again, they're giving each other space, still side by side, and here's Ian Mitchell's view of this. This is great racing between the pair of them. Baker's got the line though, the liquid moly car on the inside as they come up towards Druids, and Rudd needs to be careful he doesn't get hung out to dry, because Ian Mitchell is in the mix as well. Rudd used a little bit more of the runoff, but will have the line going down into Graham Hill Bend. Again, they're respecting each other. Look at that. That was a wonderful move from start to finish. Great piece of racing between Simon Rudd and Jonathan Baker. Nothing rash. No clattering, no bumping, giving each other space, giving each other respect. And that's part of the show reel, isn't it, really, for the Focus Cup Championship. Racing here at Brands Hatch, what better place could you wish to come? So all of the venues are terrific for Focus Cup. Donington Park, Silverstone, Cadwell Park, Snetterton, Alton Park, Croft last time out. And here we are at our finale, the former home of the British Grand Prix, no less. Admittedly on the Indy circuit rather than the full GP. But for me, that's a bonus with this type of racing. Ian Mitchell now chasing Jonathan Baker. Jonathan starting 4th on the grid for this one. McGill looking for his 11th win. You'd be brave to bet against him from there at the moment, being out front and looking for another series fastest lap, or championship fastest lap, which goes another 5 points. McGill will be looking to set records in terms of points set in the championship. On board with instructor Stephen Wells. I think remembering Steve Wells had a mad haircut, or lack of haircut, back in the day, pretty much like an afro. if I remember. You didn't probably need to know that, but just memories of Steve when he raced in Ginetta Challenge, GT5 Challenge, Optimal Motorsport, I think was the team that he ran with, but very respected coach. And you have to say, well done to Stephen for putting his reputation on the line and coming out and having a race. As Simon Rudd now is looking at the 77 car, so Richard Avis wide on the run in. So Avis will, doesn't fight that too hard, to be fair, and that's the battle for second position in the championship. Rudd now up to 4.75, Richard Avis down to 4.54 coming into this race. McGill obviously confirmed as champion, so that's academic. Up into fourth place in the championship now, it's got Jonathan Baker. Mentioned that Callum Eason not racing with us this weekend. We wish him well on his future endeavours. And Callum fifth in the championship now, but obviously Jonathan Baker up to fourth, just by 3 points at the moment. I don't think John Baker's going to be able to climb up into third in the championship, but you never know in racing, as we ride on board with Ian Mitchell busy chasing John Baker at the moment. So Jonathan Baker fourth in the standings, Rich Davies still third. Those looking relatively stable at the moment. Things might switch around though for 6th, 7th and 8th, because Sean Reynolds is making progress. We'll come back to Sean Reynolds as Mitchell looks up the inside. Ian Mitchell side by side again, the two cars giving each other room as they go into Druids. This is fine racing between these guys. There might be a temptation when it's not your own car to be a little bit more robust. I know some people don't like the robust word, but you get what I'm saying. But this is good, respectful stuff and good, clean racing on the whole that we're seeing. Race leaders away. Now we've got Simon Rudd starting to put pressure on Ryan McGill for second place. Liam McGill is away and down the road. So here is Simon Rudd, who's worked, as he did last year on his championship season, to just pick drivers off one by one over the course of the race. He won't be too impressed that Liam McGill is away and down the road, which is a little bit of a shame from our point of view. McGill is away down the road and clear, but we've got some great dicing going on wherever we look. Here comes Rudd, has a look, too far back at the moment. And of course the other thing is that Simon hasn't raced with Ryan before today, so it's about getting to know your competitors. And again, thinks about having a look. Fourth position though is 77, Richard Avis still there. This is the battle for second position, and it's our main focus, if you'll pardon the pun. Simon Rudd having a look, taking a slightly wider line after that, what looked like a challenge, but now he'll start to try and build momentum and have a go at the Focus Cup rookie Ryan McGill. It's interesting in the interview with Barry that Ryan was saying about maybe having a go at the championship next year. I wonder if that is indicative of Liam McGill perhaps coming back and defending the title as Simon Rudd. This is the view from the 2021 champion. A little bit of a masterclass here, having a look as they go up in towards Druid. Still Richard Davis next up from Ian Mitchell. Sean Reynolds up ahead of Jonathan Baker. Stephen Wells to the outside. So great battling going on there. And here is Simon Rudd, who is having a look here and getting momentum, closing in on McGill, who moves across on him as they go along Cooper Straight, and there's a little bit of side-to-side contact between the pair, and Simon Rudd goes through, makes the pass into second position. Ryan McGill in the Amazon car down to third. Richard Davis wants a little bit of this now, and you can see over in the distance there that the new second place car going wide, trying to continue that momentum and perhaps try and close down on Liam McGill, who's got the fastest lap of this race already. So McGill looking for win number 11 of the year. Meanwhile, we'll have a look at the Walton families. It's Abby ahead of Simon at the moment, and both enjoying their racing. Abby, of course, a racing newcomer, best result, a brace of 9th places at her home circuit Croft last time out on day one of the meeting. And the point here is that this championship is open to everybody. There is a home for everybody in this championship. If you're a seasoned racer, for example, we had Mark Proctor racing, the former British Touring Car Championship racer in last season, and the likes of Rob Gaffney, of course, here today. We had Max Coates racing at the last round as well. But equally, as well as established drivers, it is about introducing drivers, and we were obviously introduced to Stephen Wells, the driver coach, and we ride on board with him challenging Jonathan Baker. So there's a whole infrastructure here. Arrive and drive, and it is for absolutely everybody. And the rounds are across the UK, so you can find a local round to join in on as well. Wells coming under a little bit of pressure from Spencer Fortag. It was nice to hear from Spencer in between races as well. Great to have him back as Wells chases up the hill and into Druids on the outside line of Jonathan Baker, and this could open the door for Spencer Fortag. Again, we saw a little bit of body-to-body contact on that battle for second place, but the majority of the passes and challenges we've seen today have been clean with space between the two drivers. Here's Spencer Fortag again getting the run on the 44 car and does it on the outside into Surtees. Great move by Fortag. Stephen Wells drops the Mintex car back a position, but he will fight back. Here meanwhile is second place Simon Rudd. So McGill and Rudd 1 and 2 started on row 3 for this partially reverse grid race and have got themselves, as is often the way in Focus Cup Championship racing, to come through those positions and to set themselves up for another podium. Stephen Wells just about to take the battle back to Spencer Fortag, coming under the Burton Bridge into the hairpin at Druids. Corner that hasn't really changed a lot over the years. The outside of it has, with gravel being replaced with a little bit more tarmac, which I think has probably reduced the amount of incidents that have necessitated safety cars over the years. Along Cooper Straight, things relatively settled at the moment. There is Simon Rudd. Simon, barring the last race, second race at Alton Park, and ever present on the podium, aside from race 1 at Alton Park, which he retired from, and the 4th position at Alton Park. Obviously he had to work his way through the grid from the very back, having retired from race 1, but has been stern opposition, really, you have to say, for Liam McGill. Here's Stephen Wells still chasing Spencer Fortag. Great shot, and you get a real good look at the insides of the cars in those shots as well. Now Sean Reynolds is at the back of that group in the green, white, red and black 777 car. Sean lost 4 points to Claire Avis in race 1 and 5 points to Simon Watts in the battle for 6th position in the championship, but here he's in a position to outscore both of them by a fair amount. By my reckoning, 5 points on Claire Avis. So things are going to close up as we head into day 2 at Brands Hatch for 6th, 7th and 8th position in the championship. Spencer Fortag though stays in front of Stephen Wells. Fair amount of space behind Wells at the moment. Here come the chasing cars, including Simon Watts. Just goes across the line. Simon Waugh back with us again as well in the 22 car. Great to see Simon back with us too. One of 3 Simons in the race as Ian Mitchell gets stuck in. So Mitchell, one of the, I say part-time driver, but as I mentioned in race number 1, Mitchell, this is his 3rd meeting of the year, so he could come in and just enjoy the race. He's not worried about championship positions, but he's eligible for points, so he will be taking points away from Richard Avis here in Richard's quest for 3rd position in the championship. At the moment Simon Rudd looks like for 2nd position in the championship. At the moment it looks like Simon Rudd is on course for that, but after this race we've got 3 more point scoring opportunities with qualifying for tomorrow plus the 2 races. So here is Reynolds, who is looking for 7th and possibly 6th in the championship, having a look at Ian Mitchell. Reynolds has got a bit of momentum here, having well and truly put race 1 behind him. He had a couple of moments in race 1 which dropped him down the order, and the Reynolds Dryline 777 car looking pretty handy here at the moment. Makes a good exit into the sunlight as they come down Graham Hill, into Graham Hill Bend now, and Reynolds not under pressure but is beginning to put a little bit of pressure on Ian Mitchell out front. Again they drive into the sun. You can see it's a tricky section of track at this time of day for them, and Mitchell in the ABS car holds on. Mitchell busy chasing Richard Avis as well, but the race leader again very well clear, and probably another 2-3 seconds further clear than he was in race number 1. Liam McGill on for win number 11 of the season. and closing as he did in the closing stages of race 1 onto the battling Waltons. Abbey still heading Simon at the moment, 14th and 15th place. I'm not sure whether Liam's going to catch them this time, and that means that there's been good progress in this race for Abbey Walton, who of course is still learning the circuits in her first season. Simon Walton will be the first target, but Liam McGill showing everyone else a clean pair of heels here, to use the cliche, and goes through Surtees into the apex at McLaren now, a little bit wide of the apex as he sets himself up for clearways, which he will take now. Might be able to pass one of these cars on the run down to the checkered flag. He's got the fastest lap as well. It's set 4 laps to go. Lap 11 as Liam McGill adds another win to his collection. More championship points to add to the record books. Simon Rudd will take second place. McGill absolutely rightly delighted with another win, a dominant win. Simon Rudd P2. Another good result for the outgoing champion. Ryan McGill gets a maiden podium in third place. Well done, Ryan, from Richard Avis. Sean Reynolds in fifth, closes the gap on Claire Avis and Simon Watts in the championship. So it was Sean Reynolds in fifth, Ian Mitchell in sixth position from Jonathan Baker. Then Spencer Fortag and Stephen Wells ninth from Claire Avis, wrapping up the top 10. 11th position going to Greg Saunders from Simon Watts. Simon Waugh next up from Abbey Walton and Simon Walton.
Liam, you make this look easy. You must have massive shelves at your house with all the silverware.
Yeah, there used to be a lot of second places on the shelf. I used to get called second place from my friends quite a lot, but changed days, I suppose.
The turn of your brother to do that, but he was doing well, wasn't he?
He was doing very well, yeah. I seen him in my mirrors, and kind of halfway through the race I still seen that he was sitting in second place, so it must have been later on that he dropped back to third, but amazing for him to get a podium as well.
So, championship done and dusted, penultimate round done and dusted, and now we've got the big one tomorrow in front of the massive crowd.
Yeah, that should be good tomorrow. I think there's like 1,500 cars booked in, show cars, so be a lot of spectators, and I guess it'll just add another dimension to the race day.
Well, pretty good day at the office that was, really. I mean, 2 podiums, 2 second places, so you've got to be pleased.
Yeah, I think from fifth, a podium was quite good. I wanted to do a bit better, but Ryan got quite a terrible start in front of me, so I got boxed in. And then he tried going down the inside of John, and they made contact, and I just lost a lot of time there. So yeah, I'm happy with second place for now.
Well, that worked out rather well, and we had the McGill sort of 1 and 3 in that race.
Yeah, shame it's not 1 and 2, but we'll take that. Definitely quite happy with that result, so pretty well, yeah.
Actually, the first few laps it was a 1-2, wasn't it?
Yeah, just couldn't hold it for too long. Simon was really fast, and as you're starting to drive defensively, you're losing time every lap. So once he gets past, you're not going to. I lost a lot of time, and just a bit too much of a gap there. So it was hard to catch and close that gap, but it stayed the same. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm obviously near enough to the pace.
So that builds up for the final quite nicely. I mean, you've had a very fast learning curve in these, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, learned a lot. Went out on the first day in practice, and I was over a second slower than I've been doing now. So definitely picked up a bit of time. Just learning every session, picking it up. So hopefully I can continue to improve for the next 2 races.
So Claire, a great penultimate event for you, and another bit of silverware. This is becoming a little bit more common. So just explain what that award's for.
So this is the AM Trophy, and if you've never had a podium 1, 2, 3, then you are in line for the AM Trophy, and I've not had a podium 1, 2, 3 yet, although that's on my list. So that is why I have the lovely trophy here, yes.
Great weekend's racing so far, though. I mean, you've been able to good clean racing. Rich has done extremely well as well. He's maintaining his sort of championship position.
Yeah. I think that's really was our goal for both of us. Stay clean, finish the races, get as many points as we can. He's got a little bit more comfort room, I think, where he's sitting at the moment in third. I've got a little bbit more pressure on me at the moment. There's 2 chaps that are very, very close. So yeah, tomorrow is going to be a different game for me. But I'm here to have fun, enjoy myself, stay clean, have a good race or races, and yeah, fingers crossed.
I'll echo what Claire is talking about. Look how close it is between Simon Watts, Claire Avis and Sean Reynolds for 6th, 7th and 8th in the championship. Liam McGill champion, Simon Rudd still second, Richard Avis in third. Here are our podium presentations. Thanks for joining us today. Please join us again next time for our final outing of 2022.